People in Power. Inspiring artists, empowering stories, your favorite films and stars up close and very personal. With your host, Ghada Aboud. Hello and welcome to a new episode of People in Power. This is your host, Ghada Aboud. Please call me G. And director رائد المحلاوي. And we are back with People in Power. This is your host, Ghada Aboud. And today we have a very special coverage. We have an exclusive coverage, a coverage that focuses the light on a very important and a significant event that we are witnessing today in Saudi Arabia. The custodian of the two mosques, King Salman and Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has extended an invitation to the President of the Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping.
People's Republic of China.
The Republic?
People's Republic
Proposed Republic of China.
Yeah.
Thank you. And on this occasion that we have the pleasure to interview his Consul General, His Excellency, Mr. Tan Banglin. Hello, Your Excellency.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining People in Power and giving us the pleasure to interviewing you.
Thank you for your invitation for me, and it's my pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Saudi Arabia and China, they have very important and very significant diplomatic ties. Would Your Excellency please give us, enlighten Saudi Radio on the history of the diplomatic ties between Saudi Arabia and China?
Yes. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the People's Republic of China and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1990, bilateral friendly and cooperative relations have developed comprehensively and rapidly, with frequent exchanges and continuously expanding areas of the cooperation. In June 2008, China and Saudi Arabia established strategic and friendly relations, and the two countries established a comprehensive strategic partnership in January 2018 16, and China and set up a China-Saudi high-level joint committee. Since 2001, Saudi Arabia has become China's largest trading partner in the Middle East.
Oh.
And China has become Saudi's largest trading partner since 2013. In recent years, the cooperation between the two countries in various fields under the Docking of the Belt and the Road Initiative and Vision 2030 has achieved fruitful results.
Yes.
And they have become good friends, good partners, and good brothers on the path of development. The Chinese side gave top priority to developing relations with Saudi Arabia and supports Saudi Arabia in safeguarding national sovereignty, security, and stability, and in exploring a development path suited to its own national conditions, and oppose external interference in Saudi Arabia's internal affairs. China has actively supported and participated in Vision 2030.
Yes.
And has continuously expanded and deepened high-level cooperation between the two countries in the fields of energy, minerals, clean energy, 5G, artificial intelligence, digital economy, and space science and technology, and so on. China supports Saudi Arabia's Green Middle East initiative, welcomes Saudi Arabia to join the global development initiatives, and welcomes Saudi Arabia as a dialogue partner of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The Saudi side attaches great importance to developing relations with China, firmly abide by the One China principle, firmly supports China's legitimate position on its core interests, such as Xinjiang and Taiwan and so on, and opposes interference in China's internal affairs in various forms. In international affairs, both of our countries support multilateralism and free trade, and work together to maintain the stability of global industrial and supply chains. We firmly uphold the international system with the United Nations at its core, the international order based on international law, and the basic norms governing international relations based on the purpose and principles of the UN Charter. Protect international fairness and justice, and the common interests of developing countries. Oppose hegemonism and power politics, and oppose interference in other countries' internal affairs under the guise of democracy and human rights. I am confident that President Xi Jinping's visit to Saudi Arabia and attendance at the China-Arab Summit and China GCC Summit will surely give a strong boost to the China-Saudi comprehensive strategic partnership to a new level.
Here, Your Excellency, I would like if Your Excellency would give us more enlighten us about the main topics that could be discussed on these three summits announced. What could be the main topics on the agenda of these three summits?
So China and Arab countries are both important members of developing countries and important political forces on the international stage. China has always viewed China-Arab relations from a strategic perspective and has always regarded Arab countries as its important partners in firmly following the path of peaceful development, strengthening solidarity and cooperation with other developing countries, and promoting the building of a community with a shared future for mankind. Under the new historical conditions, China-Arab states cooperation should continue to develop in the tide of world development and progress. And in the pace of human history, more than ever, China and Arab countries need to strengthen cooperation, overcome difficulties together, and move ahead hand in hand. The leaders of China and the Arab states will plan for future cooperation between the two sides, promoting the upgrading of China-Arab relations and further consolidate the consensus of the two sides on major issues such as global governance, development and security, and dialogue among civilizations. The summit will surely become an epoch-making milestone in the history of China-Arab relations. China is willing to take the first China-Arab summit as an opportunity to work with Arab countries to carry forward the traditional friendship between China and Arabic countries, continuously enrich and deepen the pattern of all-dimensional, multi-level, and wide-ranging cooperation between the two sides, and work together to build a China-Arab community with a shared future in the new era for the benefit of all the people of China and the Arab states, and driving developing countries to unite and cooperate to jointly safeguard world peace and development.
Great, Your Excellency, Consul General Tan Banglin. Regarding the shared future, all right, there were announced agreements regarding peaceful use of nuclear power and hydrogen. According to the latest press release of the Saudi Arabia's Energy Minister, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman. Would Your Excellency enlighten us and Saudi Arabia on these agreements, and how would it reflect on the quality of life of both Chinese and Saudi people?
Well, the cooperation between China and Saudi Arabia in developing new, clean, and renewable energy sources is of great significance in addressing global climate change and realizing energy transformation. And there is broad space and bright prospects for bilateral cooperation in this regard. China is willing to strengthen energy policy coordination with Saudi Arabia to build a long-term and stable strategic energy cooperation relationship together. In the future, the two sides should continue to deepen the docking of their development strategies, jointly promote cooperation on the peaceful use of nuclear energy, hydrogen, solar energy, and other clean energy sources, create new highlights of China-Saudi energy cooperation, achieve green and sustainable development, and bring more benefits to the two peoples.
This is great, and we are looking forward to this advancement and progress and cooperation between Saudi Arabia and China to improve the quality of life. This is how we see the future, and we're happy to cooperate together with two strong countries such as Saudi Arabia and China. Your Excellency, Consul General Mr. Tan Banglin, we're going to continue with you on this special coverage of the esteemed visit of the President Xi Jinping after the break. Thank you.
You are listening to the best English radio station in Saudi Arabia.
SRFM, the heart of KSA. And even the other stations are listening to.
to SRFM.
And we are back with People in Power. This is your host, Ghada Aboud. It is to our great pleasure to be interviewing Consul General, His Excellency Mr. Tan Banglin, on the occasion of President of China visit to Saudi Arabia, Mr. Xi Jinping. And we would like to welcome you again, Your Excellency, on your visit and accepting this interview with Saudi Radio. We talked about the shared future together, the history of diplomatic ties between Saudi Arabia and China. And we would like Your Excellency to enlighten us and Saudi Radio. China had become the largest investor in Saudi Arabia during the first quarter of 2022. What are the opportunities that distinguish the Saudi market rather than any other market? And what are the domains of the Chinese investments in Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia is the largest economy in the Arab world and the only Arab country in the G20, with large market capacity and development potential. It plays a prominent role in the Arab world, the Islamic world, and even the world. At present, Saudi Arabia is pushing forward the Vision 2030, promoting the transformation of economic development mood and intensifying social and economic reform efforts. The Neom New Town and the Line development plans are eye-catching. With the progress of the reform, the business environment in Saudi Arabia is gradually improving.
Yes.
And it is becoming more attractive to foreign investment.
Yeah.
The economies of China and Saudi Arabia are highly complementary and have great potential and broad prospects for mutual beneficial cooperation. With the deep docking between the Belt and Road Initiative and the Vision 2030, the two countries, based on consolidating the existing cooperation, have broad prospects for investment and cooperation in the digital economy, e-commerce, modern logistics, artificial intelligence, clean energy, green economy, high-speed railway, aerospace, tourism, and culture, and so on.
Great. We're very excited and we feel very happy about this diverse kind of cooperation. Your Excellency, Consul General of China, Mr. Tan Banglin, would like to speak about how China had overcome the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And we know from that China's economy has grown to 18.8%, right, of the global domestic production in 2022. How did China turn that economic challenges into an opportunity of growth? And what are the main domestic products that contributed to that growth? And what did China learn from these challenges about manpower and economical power?
Okay. Based on decades of exploration and practice since the founding of the new China in 1949, especially since the launch of the reform and opening up in 1978, as well as the new breakthroughs made in theory and practice since the 18th National Congress of CPC, China has succeeded in advancing and expanding Chinese modernization, which has laid a solid material foundation and a more sound institutional guarantee for high-quality development in the new era. In 2021, China's GDP accounted for more than 18% of the global economy and has remained the world's second largest economy. It ranks first in the world in terms of grain output. And it has ensured food and energy security for its more than 1.4 billion people.
Wow.
The number of permanent urban residents account for 64% of the population. China's manufacturing sector is the largest in the world, as are its foreign exchange reserves. China has built the world's largest networks of high-speed railways and expressways, and made major achievements in building airports, ports, and water conservancy, energy, information, and other infrastructure. We have accelerated efforts to build our self-reliance and strength in science and technology. The nationwide research and development spending ranks second in the world. Our country is now home to the largest cohort of R&D personnel in the world. We have grown stronger in basic research and original innovation, made breakthroughs in some core technologies in key fields, and boosted emerging strategic industries. We have witnessed major successes on multiple fronts, including manned spaceflight, lunar and Martian exploration, deep sea and deep earth probes, supercomputers, satellite navigation, quantum information, nuclear power technology, new energy technology, airline manufacturing, and biomedicine. China has joined the ranks of the world innovators. Despite the increasing risks and challenges, the long-term sound fundamental of China's economy have not changed. That's because, firstly, the Communist Party of China plays the role of the core of the overall leadership over all areas and coordinating the efforts of every part of the country, providing a fundamental political guarantee for addressing various major risks and challenges, such as the COVID, and maintaining sustained and sound economic development. Secondly, China continuously makes theoretical innovations and adapts Marxism to the Chinese context and the needs of the times. Marked by reform and opening up, the CPC has developed Marxism, formed the theory of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and put the China's economy on the track of rapid development. Over the past decades, Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era has put forward a series of new ideas, new thinking, and new strategies on national governance, which are important guidance for making great achievements and deepening reforms and high-quality development in the new era. Thirdly, China has a complete industrial system, industrial chain, and supply chain, and has the world's largest free open market and a sound business environment. China has huge and high-quality human resources. The economy has plenty of room for maneuver, strong resilience, full vitality, and great potential. Fourthly, economic development benefits from a long-term stable social environment. Today, China is considered by the international community as the safest country. A long-term stable social environment is an indispensable foundation for sustainable economic development and prosperity. The above-mentioned situation will not change. So the fundamentals of China's long-term positive economy will not change. The China's economic development has bright prosperous. Yeah.
Of course, the diverse kind of economy and sectors of economy, as Your Excellency has mentioned, the supply chain, and this is also how we see that Saudi Arabia and China are aligned together on the same policy of diversifying economy, of self-sustainment, of supply chains, of having this direction of maintaining the best quality of life and thinking long term on their economical future. But I want to ask Your Excellency a question. Many of U.S. and European countries and leading companies also in these European and American companies actually depend on China in its manufacturing for the reasons that you have said and mentioned, Your Excellency, in the previous question. Yet, so we see that the relationship between China and the West is integrative and it's very much connected, right?
Yeah.
But I have this curiosity to understand and would like Your Excellency to enlighten us and Saudi Arabia on the economic relationship between between U.S. and Europe with China, especially that in the media we find it very much as if they're competitive and they're not, there's some sort of competition or race kind of thing. And what is the role of Saudi Arabia among bringing these ties together between China and US and Europe?
Well, the US and the EU are China's major trading partners. And there are close economic and trade ties with each other. The investment and trade cooperation between China and the two is mutually beneficial. According to statistics, the trade volume between China and the US was $765.49 billion in 2021. And that between China and the EU was $820 billion, which have been increasing continuously in recent years. American companies such as Tesla have been increasing their investments in China in recent years. So do German companies. Two-way investment between China and Europe has exceeded $270 billion, with active investment cooperation in finance, vaccine research and development, new energy, electric vehicles, logistics, and other fields. In particular, China's investment in Europe maintained a counter-trend growth in 2021, achieving a year-on-year growth rate of 13.4%. Now, not long ago, when the Chinese president and the U.S. president had a meeting in Bali, Indonesia, President Xi Jinping said that China and the U.S. are two major countries with different history, cultures, social systems, and development paths. The differences between the two countries should not become an obstacle for growing China-U.S. relations. There is always competition in the world.
True.
But the competition should be about learning from each other to become one's better self and make progress together.
True.
Not about taking others down in a zero-sum game. The essence of China-U.S. economy and trade relations is mutually beneficial. Starting a trade war or a technology war, building walls and barriers, and pushing for decoupling and severing supply chains run counter to the principle of a market economy and undermine international trade rules. Such attempts serve no one's interests.
True.
We oppose politicizing and weaponizing economic and trade ties, as well as exchanges in science and technology. Under the current circumstances, China and the United States share more, not less, common interests. It is in our mutual and fundamental interests to prevent conflict and confrontation and achieve peaceful coexistence. The two economies are deeply integrated, and both face new tasks in development. It is in our mutual interest to benefit more from each other's development. It is also in our mutual interest to promote post-COVID global recovery, tackle climate change, and resolve regional issues through China-US coordination and cooperation. The two sides need to respect each other, pursue mutual benefit, focus on the large picture, and nurture a sound atmosphere and stable relations for cooperation. President Biden noted that the United States respects China's system and does not seek to change it, and does not seek a new Cold War, does not seek to revitalize alliances against China, and has no intention to have a conflict with China. The U.S. government is committed to the One China policy, does not support Taiwan independence, does not support two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan, and does not seek to use the Taiwan question as a tool to contain China. The U.S. side has no intention to seek decoupling from China, to halt China's economic development, or to contain China. Facts have proven time and again that the entire China-US relations cannot be simply defined by competition. China-US cooperation is not only good for the two countries, but also the common expectations of the international communities. Regarding the EU, after years of development, China and the EU have formed a strong economic symbiotic relationship. Both sides should expand two-way trade and investment, maintain the stability and smoothness of global industrial and supply chain, safeguard international economic and trade rules and order, and uphold true multilateralism. We hope that the EU will continue to pursue an independent and positive policy towards China. German Chancellor Scholz, who visited China on November 4th, clearly opposed to economic decoupling from China. When French President Emmanuel Macron met with President Xi Jinping in Bali, Indonesia, he said that France upholds independent diplomacy, opposes bloc confrontation, and is willing to deepen cooperation with China in the fields of economy, trade, aviation, and civil nuclear energy. President of the European Council Charles Michel, who visited China just a few days ago, noted that the EU upholds the One China policy and respects China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. It will not interfere in China's internal affairs. The EU is ready to become a reliable and predictable cooperation partner for China. It will work with China to strengthen communications and coordination to better respond to energy crisis, climate changes, public health, and other global challenges. The EU will work with China to take forward the process towards an EU-China investment agreement, make supply chain more stable, strengthen mutual trust, and deepen mutually beneficial cooperation in all areas. As a member state of the G20, Saudi Arabia has broad common interests and extensive prospects for cooperation with China in promoting the reform and improvement of the global governance system, addressing climate change, maintaining the security and stability of the energy supply chain, jointly building the Belt and the Road, and protecting international fairness and justice.
I thank you, Your Excellency, for this clarification. It was something that everybody who reads the news kept wondering about, and I thank you for this clear, very clarification that helps people understand how the diplomatic relationships are going and taking place. And I thank you for enlightening us about the role and the relationship between Saudi Arabia and China. Allow me, Your Excellency, to ask you about Al-Hizam and Al-Tariq initiative, but after the break, please stay tuned.
You are listening to the best English radio station in Saudi Arabia.
SRFM, the heart of KSA. And even the other stations are listening to.
You're listening to SRFM.
And we are back with People in Power. This is your host, Ghada Aboud. Please call me G. And today we have a very special coverage on the occasion of the esteemed visit of China's President, Mr. Xi Jinping. And it's to our pleasure to interview Consul General of China, His Excellency, Mr. Tan Banglin. Thank you again for joining Saudi Radio, Your Excellency. I'm very much interested in knowing a very special initiative between Saudi and China that has been signed, and it's about Al-Hizam and Al-Tariq initiative. Would Your Excellency tell us more about it, the outcome of it, and when will it begin?
During President Xi Jinping's visit to Saudi Arabia in January 2016, China and Saudi Arabia signed an intergovernmental memorandum of understanding on the jointly building the Belt and the Road. Under the guidance of the two leaders, the comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Saudi Arabia has developed rapidly, and the two countries have become important partners. With the deep docking of the Belt and the Road Initiative and the Vision 2030, the practical cooperation between China and Saudi Arabia has continuously achieved fruitful results. For example, in terms of energy, Sinopec and Saudi Aramco signed a memorandum of understanding in March this year to further strengthen the long-term cooperative relationship. The cooperation project includes crude oil trading, oil refining, chemical industry, engineering services, and science and technology research and development. A number of projects jointly implemented by the two sides have become a model of China-Saudi energy cooperation. In terms of culture, a total of more than 3,000 Chinese books are exhibited at the Riyadh International Book Fair this year.
Yeah.
And more than 10 books, including Chinese literature, Chinese geography, and the historical framework of the currency of Saudi Arabia, have been published. Since the signing of the MOU on the mutual translation and publication of classical and contemporary works between China and Saudi Arabia in 2016. There is also great potential for cooperation between the two sides in railways, communications, and digital transformation, in addition to the Mecca light rail, which is already in operation. مقدس المشاعر والمقادس metro.
Metro المشاعر المقدسة.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. China's Alibaba Group has signed a $1.5 billion agreement with the Saudi government to set up a training base in Saudi Arabia dedicated to training professionals in artificial intelligence and communication technology for Saudi Arabia. Huawei and Saudi Aramco also jointly established an innovation center in Saudi Arabia to provide Saudi Aramco with intelligent solutions for production management and realizing digital transformation through innovation in artificial intelligence and information technology. There are many more examples like these, so I won't list them all. The cooperation is fruitful.
Yeah, and we're very curious to know more. We'll be wanting to learn, and we'll be watching the news to know more about the cooperation. I'm sure the list will never end. Your Excellency, there is something we're very interested in. Saudi Arabia is also taking huge steps in that domain. We're talking about space investment. China has done the announced on the Tiangong.
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 Yeah.
Right. Space station, and it's and news about China owning it's the only space station in the space, right?
No, yeah, it's working.
Yeah, amazing. And what are the long-term goals of China's investment in space, and how does that reflect on this step on other countries?
The important goal of China's manned space project is that to build a space station and a national space laboratory so that several persons can stay in the space station at the same time and for a long period to carry out scientific experiments, to make peaceful use of outer space and maintain outer space security. As the third country in the world that can independently send human into space and conduct space science experiments with human participation, China has always advocated the peaceful use of outer space, opposed the weaponization and arms race in outer space, and actively promoted the building of a community with a shared future for mankind in outer space. Exploring the unknown universe and developing space technology are the common cause of mankind and are inseparable from international cooperation. Since the establishment and implementation of China's manned spaceflight project, China has always adhered to the principles of peaceful use, equality, mutual benefit, and common development. China has signed cooperation agreements with France, Germany, Italy, Russia, Pakistan, as well as many space agencies and organizations such as the United Nations Department for Outer Space Affairs and the European Space Agency, and implemented a variety of cooperation projects and achieved fruitful cooperation results. The Chinese space station is the first time in history that such projects are open to all UN member states. So far, 9 projects from 17 countries and 23 entities, including Saudi Arabia, has become the first batch of selected projects for China's space station scientific experiments. China is willing to work with all countries and regions committed to the peaceful use of outer space to carry out more international cooperation and exchanges, and foreign astronauts are welcome to join the Chinese space station.
Amazing. So we'll see soon maybe Saudi space, maybe they want to join, you would help them join through China. They will go travel to space through China.
Yeah, welcome.
Great. Your Excellency, how we would like to know more, and Saudi Radio would like to understand China's proposal to deepen and expand the global partnership of equality and openness and cooperation.
China adheres to the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence in pursuing friendship and cooperation with other countries. It is committed to promoting a new type of international relations, deepening and expanding global partnership based on equality, openness, and cooperation, and broadening the convergence of interests with other countries. Equality means following the principle of equality, respecting the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of all countries, respecting each other's core interests and major concerns, and respecting the independent choices of social systems and development paths made by people in different countries. Openness means resolutely abandoning outdated concepts such as the clash of civilizations, the Cold War mentality, and the zero-sum game, respecting the diversity of the world, and building a constructive partnership that is non-aligned, non-confrontational, and non-targeted at third parties. Cooperation is to go beyond the old routine of zero-sum game and strive to handle state-to-state relations through cooperation rather than confrontation, and with the concept of win-win rather than zero-sum. In accordance with the concept of equality, openness, and cooperation, China works to enhance coordination and positive interaction with other major countries. to build major country relations featuring peaceful coexistence, overall stability, and balanced development. Acting on the principles of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness, and the policy of forging friendship and partnerships with its neighbors. China strives to enhance friendly ties, mutual trust, and converging interests with its neighboring countries. Guided by the principles of sincerity, real results, affinity, and good faith, and with a commitment to the greater good and shared interests, China endeavors to strengthen solidarity and cooperation with other developing countries and safeguard the common interests of the developing world. As of October 2022, China has established a partnership with 113 countries and international organizations around the world, and has become the major trading partner of more than 140 countries and regions, achieving full coverage of partnerships with major powers, neighboring and developing countries. China is willing to be more open and inclusive, to establish partnerships and develop mutual beneficial cooperation with more like-minded countries and international organizations, and continue to consolidate and expand its circle of friends around the world.
Great. The openness and a win-win situation, as Your Excellency has mentioned, is actually the language of the future.
Yeah.
And there is something, Your Excellency, I would like to ask you. China has an experience with, and would like to know more about it, because it really may have a lot of benefits, right, on the economy. And we'd like to know more about China's experience on it. But allow me to go to a break and then talk about the one-child policy.
Okay.
After the break.
You are listening to the best English radio station in Saudi Arabia.
SRFM, the heart of KSA. And even the other stations are listening to.
And we are back with People in Power. This is your host, Ghada Aboud, and we're very much honored to be doing this coverage, a very special coverage on the occasion of the esteemed visit of China's President, Mr. Xi Jinping. And it's to our honor to interview Consul General of China, His Excellency, Mr. Tan Banglin. Hello again, Your Excellency. There's something we're curious about, which is the one-child policy in China. Would Your Excellency enlighten us about the many benefits of it, maybe economically, according to the experience of China?
According to the World Population Prospects 2022 released by the United Nations, the world population will exceed 8 billion by November 15. The rapid growth of a population will bring challenges to social and economic development, and the behavior pattern chosen by human will determine whether the Earth can bear the weight of human beings. How to build a civilization form of more harmonious coexistence between humanity and nature, that is a strategic issue, deserves serious consideration. China is a country with a large population, and the carrying capacity of population, resources, and environment are always in a tight balance. China's family planning policy is a basic state policy that must be adhered to. China gradually adjusts and improves its fertility policy in accordance with the changing situation of population development to promote long-term balanced population development. In fact, the called one-child policy began to be adjusted 11 years ago.
Oh.
So far, the policy has been adjusted 3 times.
Oh.
In August last year, China adjusted its policy again. The updated policy allows one family, one couple to have 3 children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and formulate supporting measures to encourage and support childbirth.
Oh, right.
Population is the main body of social development and also the key variable affecting the sustainable economic development. According to the changing situation of population development, China has kept a scientific grasp of the law of population development, constantly adjusted and optimized its fertility policy, improved its population structure, actively responded to problems such as the aging of the population, and promoted the coordinated and sustainable development of the population and the economy, society, resources, and the environment.
This is very interesting, Your Excellency, and thank you for telling us about that. So one family can have 3 children.
Yeah, now, from last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Your Excellency would like to also focus on a decision that was made in Saudi Arabia, which is teaching Chinese in Saudi schools. How would Your Excellency tell us and to Saudi Arabia, how would that reflect positively on both people and cultural exchange between Saudi Arabia and China?
Yes, since the launch of Chinese language teaching in Saudi Arabia, the relevant institutions and schools in both countries have been working closely together with fruitful results. In July this year, the Chinese proficiency competition for university students was held for the first time in Saudi Arabia. And Ahmed Suleiman from King Abdulaziz University won the championship. And he will have the opportunity to represent Saudi Arabia in the global finals in the Chinese bridge competition in China.
Oh, great, great.
China attaches great importance to cooperate with the Saudi side in Chinese language teaching and has sent many teachers to teaching Chinese in Saudi universities, and will continue to provide support and assistance in terms of teachers, teaching materials, and the establishment of Confucius Institute according to the needs of the Saudi side, which is conducive to more Saudi young people learning Chinese or studying in China. I believe that Chinese language will become a link to enhance understanding and friendship between the two peoples, and play an important role in promoting China-Saudi educational cooperation and mutual cultural appreciation, raise the level of cooperation in various fields, and deepen the comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Saudi Arabia.
And we look forward very much into seeing a lot of Saudi students speaking Chinese, and we always feel very happy when we see Chinese people speaking Saudi and Arabic. We have a surprise for the audience, but at the end of the interview, first, Your Excellency, Chinese people have Eastern values.
Yeah.
Family values, high values with traditions, how they keep their identity, and as how they expand on, they're exposed to the world, but they keep their identity. And this is a very great value. I remember Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman said, those who are preserve their identity and are confident of their identity are very much the strong ones, can be exposed to the world, and they should not fear to be exposed and go there and seek different experiences. We would like to know, Saudi Radio, what are some of the some factors about China people and their high values that we can learn about and find the common between them and Saudi Arabia?
China's fine traditional culture is extensive and profound. It is a crystallization of the wisdom of Chinese civilization. Our traditional culture espouses many important principles and concepts, including pursuing common good for all, regarding the people as the foundation of the state, governing by virtue, discarding the outdated in favor of the new, selecting officials on the basis of merit, promoting harmony between humanity and nature, ceaselessly pursuing self-improvement, embracing the world with virtue, acting in good faith and being friendly to others, and fostering neighborliness. These maxims, which have taken shape over centuries of work and life, reflect the Chinese people's way of viewing the universe, the world, society, and morality. Civilizations communicate through diversity, learn from exchanges, and develop through mutual learning. Civilization is colorful, and only because of its diversity can human civilization have the value of exchanges and mutual learning. A single flower is not a spring. 100 flowers bloom, bring spring to a garden.
Yes.
Both the Chinese civilization and other civilizations existing in the world are the fruits of the creation of human civilization. All kinds of civilization are equal in value, each with their own strength and shortcomings. There is no high or low civilizations, and all the achievements of civilization deserve respect and cherish. Since ancient times, Chinese civilization has been known for its openness and inclusiveness, and has gained new vitality through exchanges and mutual learning with other civilizations. Buddhism originated from India and flourished in China and spread its influence through the world. Confucianism originated in China, is highly praised by many Western thinkers, and contain important enlightenment to solve the problems facing contemporary mankind. Along the ancient Silk Road, the important achievements of Islamic civilization in the Arab world, such as astronomy, calendar, medicine, and humanities, were introduced to China, while China's four great inventions, farming, sericulture, and ceramic technology, and etc., were also introduced to the world, along with the melodious camel bells. It can be said that the rich and colorful contemporary world has been shaped through the mutual learning of civilizations. In today's world, facing the increasing deficits of peace, development, security, and governance, human beings should promote exchanges and mutual learning among civilizations. Eliminate the barriers, prejudice, and hatreds. Sow the seeds of the concept of peace and foster towering trees for common development. Those voices which advocated the theories such as superiority and inferiority of civilizations, civilization clashes, institutional confrontation, and Islamophobia, and those acts try to form a value alliance and provoke ideological confrontation are doomed to be unpopular and fail.
True.
We sincerely call upon all countries to hold dear humanity's shared value of peace, development, fairness, justice, democracy, and freedom, to promote mutual understanding and forge closer bond with other peoples, and to respect the diversity of civilizations. Let us allow cultural exchanges to transcend estrangement, mutual learning to transcend classes, and coexistence to transcend feelings of superiority. Let us all join forces to meet all types of global challenges. China, in the new era, is undergoing the most grand and unique practical innovation in human history. The Communist Party of China has led the people in pioneering a unique path to modernization, creating a new form of human advancement. China is willing to work with all countries in the world, including Saudi Arabia, to unswervingly promote mutual respect and harmoniously coexistence among different civilizations. Make mutual learning a bridge to enhance friendship among peoples of all countries, a driving force to promote the progress of human society, and a bond to maintain peace, and write a new chapter for promoting world peace and development. And thank you.
I thank Your Excellency for this distinguished values, and now it's become clear to all the listeners of Saudi Radio and all the listeners all around the media, how we see the common ground between Saudi Arabia and China, and how the values like coexistence, mutual learning, these steps for the future, and the common language, the prosperity that will come together with the cooperation, and that strong countries like to choose other strong countries with mutual values to build and reshape the future.
Yes.
We know that this is an English channel, but we know that Your Excellency speak very good Arabic.
Yeah.
Would you give us the honor of telling something to Saudi Radio listeners in Arabic?
Assalamu alaikum. يشرفني أن أتحدث مع السيدة غادة عبود للمقابلة، ونتحدث حول العلاقات والتبادل الحضارات والثقافات والمساواة بين كل الحضارات والقواعد المشتركة بين الصين والسعودية في الكثير من المجالات والمفاهيم حتى الأخلاق. ففرصة سعيدة
أنا الأسعد. I thank you very, very much, Consul General, His Excellency Mr. Tan Banglin, for joining us, especially on the occasion of the esteemed visit of China's President, Mr. Xi Jinping. It's been a great, great pleasure and an honor to interview you. I thank you very much, and I would like to do more interviews, to have the pleasure of interviewing you again.
It's
And,
my
thank
pleasure
you.
also.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. We conclude our special coverage of the esteemed visit of China's president to Saudi Arabia, Mr. Xi Jinping, and we would like to thank Consul General of China, His Excellency Mr. Tan Banglin. We thank you very much from People in Power. This was Ghada Aboud with you, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and bye.
You are listening to the best English radio station in Saudi Arabia.